Hello everyone, it's me, Ray Long. This is another episode of Full Stack Distributed Systems. Last episode, we started working on a project in Unity and C Sharp to build a universal wargaming engine. It's quite an ambitious undertaking, no doubt. And we set up our project in Unity and we started writing a little bit of code that we see here on the screen in Visual Studio. And we've basically defined an iDiceRoller interface and a dice roller game object to implement that interface. And we've hooked it up into a Unity scene, which we can come over here and see real quick. And now we have this game object available in our scene. So what's next? Well, if you remember before, if we go ahead and start the project, we'll go ahead and see that our dice roller is definitely instantiating and it is doing work every update cycle. Go over to the console, see here. Oh yeah, you see it ticking up right here, see? Okay. But really, our dice roller isn't doing anything at all yet. We need to make it actually roll some dice. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's use a random number generator. Now, there are a couple different strategies we can take to do random number generation. For now, we're going to use the built-in random class that comes as part of the .NET framework. Alright, so we're going to do private random and now we have choices. This is interesting. Now we can either import Unity engine.random or system.random. Let's try Unity engine.random. I've never used it before, or at least I haven't used it recently. And let's see what this looks like. Let's go to the definition. It might try to decompile a little bit of code here inside of the Unity library for me. Or at least get the metadata. Okay. So, this is interesting. This is very interesting. See, this is why we explore, and this is why we hack, and this is why we poke around. So, Unity, the Unity engine has a random class, and you can get random quaternions, vectors, floats, all sorts of wonderful stuff. Seeds. Oh, actually, the seed is the. All the values are floats, though. Oh, we can get an integer range, a random range. This is what we want. This is what we're looking for here. But we don't need to. So we don't actually need. Let's see. Oh. No, I don't want to do that. So it does have a public constructor. Okay. Yeah, so this is the way this is going to work, is we have a public constructor. We'll construct it. But let's try something here. Well, here's what we can do. Right? We could say this. Got random. You know what? We don't need to do that. We don't need to instantiate this. We'll just be able to call its members statically. Okay. Let's do Unity engine dot random dot random range. Let's say between 0 and, actually no, not 0. 1 and 6. And we'll say var results equals that. Oh. Use random.range instead, okay? We'll use the random.range. Very good. And now we'll go ahead and we'll debug another message. We'll say roll the random value between, you know what? Rolled 1d6. We'll use the language of the gaming community. Result equals okay. So now if we go back over here, oh wow. Alright, I'm gonna have to cut that probably. Sorry about that. We got lost and didn't know that OBS didn't have Visual Studio up here. So anyway, here's what I've done. Here's what you've heard me describing. I was thinking about putting a random number generator as a private field. Decided we didn't really need to. I explored Unity engine.random. We're going to use Unity engine.random.range. Let's go ahead and oh no, I guess you guys saw it all, right? Or maybe not. Anyway, let's go ahead and start this up again. And look at this. We have our dice rolling. Look at that. Fantastic. Let's pause this. We've rolled over 1,000 dice rolls already. See that? It's fast. Very fast. Okay, so now we can see how we're making some progress here, right? We can roll some random integer values, but right now we have the ranges that we're looking for. They're kind of fixed. Well, they are fixed. But we've added these number of sides, number of dice, target value on our game object here. And why don't we start to make use of them now, right? So let's see. How many sides do we want? Well, we have a 6-sided dice. We're going to roll one of them. And we'll leave target value. Leave everything else the way it is for now. And now what we need to do is we're going to go over to Visual Studio. And we're going to make use of that. So you see how these are hard-coded here? Now, we always want to start with 1 because we don't want to roll zeros unless 0 is one of the valid numbers in our dice, right? But since we're emulating a D6, we only have 6 sides of the dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, obviously. So why don't we go here to, what do we have here? I think it's called number of sides. Number of sides. Right? And see now, instead of having a hard-coded value, we're going to use the field that we exposed earlier. And if we take a peek over here at Unity, we see this. We should now be running our 1d6 dice roller again and again and again. There we go. Isn't that fantastic? Let's prove that it works. Actually, let's do this. Watch this. We can edit the game object real time while it's running, right? So now the result is always going to be 1. What if I want a D10 or a D20? All right, and now we'll start getting results. Yep. So it works as we would expect it to work, which is good, right? That's what we want. So why don't we go ahead? Yeah, come on, man. Did it. Here we go. Collab is enabled. Oh, what's going on here with Unity? Alright, close the tab. Come on, bruh. Alright. Unity can't find my internet connection at the moment. That's kind of wacky. Okay. So now what we need to do, we don't want to have this rolling a random dice every game cycle, every game loop, every update, right? We want to be able to call our roll method. So why don't we go back over to Visual Studio. I'm recording this in a public space right now, so in the lounge in my building. So what are you going to do? All right. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to take this roll method and do something. We basically want to do this, all right? Let's take this. Let's cut it out of here. And now look at that. Now we have rolled dice. And now every update we can just call roll the dice. Right? See, now we've done a little bit of refactoring, and our code should work as expected. We should still be rolling a random 1d6 in our console here. It's just now that we've encapsulated the logic in the right place. Right? Let's see. Is there anything else we need to think about right now? No? This should be good. So now we'll get this logging message that we'll see. We'll get a result. We'll get a result. And we'll return it. Okay. Let's hop back over to Unity for a moment. Alright, Unity seems to have crashed, which can happen. Can actually happen quite a bit. So here's what we're going to do. See how the play and the pause buttons are both pressed at the same time somehow in Unity? Yeah. Remember what I said earlier about side effects? Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to stop this video here. I'm going to put this up for the patrons. And wow. There really needs to be some better audio editing here, huh? just a review. We've only made a little bit of changes to our class here. A little bit of refactoring. And let me kill Unity. I thought about ending the video right now, but you know, Unity dying is something that happens, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it doesn't. So it crashes, we have to recover. What are you going to do, you know? What's interesting to me now is the next step, once we get Unity back up, the next step is going to be creating some sort of UI element on the screen that we can use to click a button and roll a dice. And we should be able to input parameters on the screen, maybe some sliders or some input fields, and we should be able to click a button, roll the dice, see the output. And that's what we're going to build next as soon as Unity loads back up. Oh, it's coming back up now. So we're going to use a few different components to make that happen. We're going to use a canvas, like a 2D canvas. Use a button. We'll put our game object on it. Well, at least we'll wire it up, the events properly, so that we can have our click event, and it'll be fantastic. Let's see. Okay. Thankfully, with the magic of editing, I can cut out all the waiting. I just need to get myself some video editing skills. I'm going to skip the new version. For now, the Unity editor was updated. It was up to date last night. That is not the case now. So, okay, we're back in Unity, and we have our project. Very good. And our collaboration's back. Okay, so let's flip back over to Unity. We definitely want to commit our changes. So, dice roller, show implementation, and small refactoring. Right. At this point in time, I feel like I want to be able to reuse my dice roller again and again. So let's make a new folder, and we'll call it prefabs. And what are we going to do in here? Well, we should be able to just drag this here and create a new prefab. So now, if I ever want to make a dice roller in my scene, I can go into my prefabs folder, drag this out, throw it into the scene, and it'll instantiate the new game object for me. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we need to create a UI. We need to do something, don't we? We need to make a button. Fantastic. You see, I made the button, and it does the things for me that I need to do. Fantastic. Okay. Let's bring this into view. Make sure y'all can see what I'm seeing. Fantastic. Let's go to the text label here. We call this, we'll say roll. Roll the dice. Okay. Now, how are we going to make it work? Button. go. Our on-click list is empty, right? So we want to drag our dice roller here. That's why we have our game object. And then we will go into the dice roller. And we will call where is it? Come on, where are you? Oh, you know what we're going to do? Boy. So let's go back over to Visual Studio for a minute. Okay. Let's do this. Int results equals 0. Roll dice. I'm going to call this roll button. This is going to say var result equals roll the dice. And then we could say, you know what? Actually, we don't even have to make a new. What am I doing here? Getting distracted. Make a roll button. I think the button elements need to have void as the return type, right? So now if we go, we should have a roll button. Yep, exactly. So now, since we enabled this for the editor and the game, if we go onto the dice roller and we look at the result, 0, let's go ahead and run this. We'll see in the inspector. Really? Okay, so you didn't miss much. Sorry, I'm still getting the hang of switching between my scenes here. So basically, we've added a UI button, okay, on our canvas, and we have attached our dice roller game object, and we're going to call the dice roller.roll button method, and we're expecting that on our dice roller object we should have a result right here after we click it. And we do. Look at that. Okay. Let's do something else here. Let's go back into Visual Studio. And why don't we get rid of the chatter? We don't actually need those right now. Go back over to here, to Unity, and let's go ahead and run this. And now we can see that we're rolling dice. Now what about our target value? What are we going to do with the target value? Well, when we roll the dice, let's see. Let's hop into Visual Studio again for a second. Let's think about our code. The roll button has to do a few different things, right? Like it has to call roll dice. And we have our result. But we also probably want to update a label, right? So why don't we say public game object result label. Okay. Now let's see what we can do. Let's go back over to Unity. We should see a result label has no game object. Why don't we create a UI label? We'll call it a text. We're going to call this result. And result needs to move out of the way here. Let's recenter this text properly. Okay. Let's move this down just a little bit to line this up. We're going to say 0 for now. Okay, great. So now let's go to our dice roller. Put our result label on here. And we need to somehow update this with our value after we click the button. Let's go back over to Visual Studio and see if we can poke around a little bit here with our source code. Okay, we have our result label. So we do result label dot maybe we could find a component, or maybe we can get a component, and maybe we could say, well, what is, let's see, result is what? It's a text, right? UI text. So maybe we can get text. I forgot, I'm stumped, so we're going to go to good old Google. Let's see, Unity 3D, get text label UI. No, I don't want GUI.label. Okay. All right. So actually, we just need to get component. Oh, you know why? I need the right assembly reference, of course. Text. Text equals, we're going to say result. We got to call toString on it to make the type system happy. Okay, now let's go back over to Unity. And let's run this. Wizard style. And let's roll this dice. Man, look at that. Fantastic. See? And now we've tried our best to maintain some good object-oriented programming discipline, right? The nature of game development is that at some point in time you're going to have to tightly couple components together, or at least couple them. How tight you want to couple them is up to you, but at some point in time things have to touch each other in order for the game to work, right? So what do we have here? We have a button. It says roll the dice. Now the button has a reference to the dice roller, and the dice roller has a reference to the result label. And we can see that there is now a dependency graph in the scene. But if we go back to Visual Studio and do a little code review, we can see that we've tried to encapsulate our concerns the best we can. We could probably do a little bit better though, because roll button is you know what? Let's try this. Let's try putting the update of the text in the actual update method. And now maybe our code can even be a little bit cleaner. This might introduce a little bit of flickering though, right? We might have a little bit of flickering we have to deal with, but we'll find out. Okay. No, it's fine. Look at that. So now, I don't think we can make this any cleaner. Let's go back to Visual Studio one more time. Yeah, I don't think we can make this any cleaner, ladies and gentlemen. We have, let's start at the top. Let's make it a little cleaner actually. Get rid of these unnecessary using statements. Alright, so we're going to use the Unity Engine and UnityEngine.ui. Okay. We have our fields. We have our number of sides, the number of dice, target value, reroll values, result label. We're going to put a couple of to-dos because there are some things we have not implemented yet. Implement reroll checks and implement target check. Okay. We have our roll dice method. We do a little bit of logging. I'm a fan of logging. I think logging is important to tell a story about what the code is doing. So be generous with your logging. Okay. And so we're going to log, and let's just take a look at this logging statement. It's a little gnarly, but it's verbose, it's informative. We have our result. Let's see, we could probably simplify the member access. Yep, we sure can. So, since we have Unity Engine imported and not random, the code knows what to do. Okay, and we have our roll button, which just gets a result from roll dice. That's all it does. And if we ever need to update the label, well, that's handled in the update, right? And I think this is the right way to do it. I'm very confident this is the right way to do it for a couple of different reasons. I feel comfortable with this. If I had to defend this in a code review, here's what I would say. I would say that the architects of the Unity engine have probably done a lot of testing to determine the best time and place to call update methods when they're processing their game loop, right? And I think we do have something that requires updating, and semantically we should put that in the update method. And what we need to update is we just need to make sure that the label on our UI has the result. Now, here's what we should do. Let's do this. Because what if we don't have What? Let's see. Debug that. I gotta have a log warning, right? Yeah, we want to log a warning. Let's say unable to call, unable to update error. E.message. Now we want to put a new line in here, and you know what? Give me the stack trace. What is this going to do? Very good question. Let's go back to Unity. Let's run this. It should still run as we expect, right? We should be able to hit roll the dice, get values, all is well that ends well, right? What if we remove this game component? Ah, here we go. Look at that. Here we have it. Fantastic. We know exactly what needs to go on. So now we can put our result right back in. And we can clear all of these. And now we can roll the dice again. See? And now our code is robust. Because we don't want to assume that whoever is using our dice roller is always going to have a result label for us. Right? So you know what we can do? We could almost make a whole entire prefab out of not just the dice roller, but also having the canvas with the button and the result on it. We could do that. But I don't know. I want to get rid of this skybox. I want to just give you a solid color in the game, right? And let's make that solid color. We make it like. And now let's see our result. We can make that like a nice green. Yeah, there we go. Bam. Here we go. We're going to roll the dice. We're going to roll the dice. Yeah, there we go. That's fantastic. All right. Okay, well, that's about all we're going to do today in this particular video. Let me cut back over to the business side of things for a moment here. Happy hacking, everyone.